And now, Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blanken. Tyler, it's Sunday. The NBA Finals are headed to the most magical words in sports. Game 7. How we doing?
This is true. We're doing well. Did you see KD just got traded?
No, I didn't.
We did not discuss this in the pre-show meeting because I was hoping we would have an organic.
Oh, no. Where's he going?
Right now. It's not Detroit. He has been traded from the Phoenix Suns.
I swear to God, if you say Miami.
A team you may have heard of, the Houston Rockets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Long speculated that could be a destination.
Yeah.
I would argue that Houston needs him the most out of any team in the association. They need a closer. They need a go-to scorer. KD certainly checks those boxes. So the Suns in return are getting Jalen Green, former top 5 pick. They're getting longtime heel in the NBA, Dylan Brooks.
Oh my gosh.
They're getting the number 10 pick in Wednesday's draft, and I believe 5 second-round picks. Maybe they'll include that in a package for something or somebody else. I honestly am fascinated to see what becomes of Jalen Green. Super talented dude. He's in all these Wingstop commercials. I just don't know that he's the best fit with Devin Booker. So I suspect, granted, I haven't read anything or heard anything since you and I met for the production meeting, Brad, but I just get the sense that maybe Jalen Green is not actually going to suit up for Phoenix. I wonder if he gets moved at some point this week.
Wow.
It's official.
Wow.
The Kevin Durant Phoenix experience over. It was good until it wasn't. Was it ever good?
Great Nick Aldis. It wasn't Nick Aldis.
National treasure, Nick Aldis?
No, it's gone. It left me.
It's great content for our audio listeners.
It left me.
Yeah.
I had a thing. It's gone.
KD got moved though, man. That's a big deal around these parts. It's the state we call home here in Arizona. He
is one of my first memories of seeing the footprint because I had never been there. We spent ungodly amounts of money to park and then walked to the footprint. And there it was his giant poster, huge KD up on the wall.
Right. Outside the arena.
Was a different time.
That was our first Dynamite. Circa
that was our first Dynamite, February.
Life was different back then on the basketball front, on the just life front. And Brad, can I just say, and I'm pretty sure this is documented, production team, if you could work on researching this for us. I was never a huge believer that this was going to work. Brad, you know my gimmick, 10% of the time, I have to puff my chest out and say I was right.
Yeah.
This is a case where the Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker experience, building your team around a big three, that's just a relic. That's outdated. That's not how teams win anymore. So I am not shocked it ended this way, but it makes me sad that the Phoenix Suns didn't even sniff anywhere near a championship after acquiring Kevin Durant. He was actually pretty awesome while he was here production-wise, but it's not surprising to me that this formula didn't lead to the outcome that Matt Ishbia and company wanted.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and it sucks for the state of Arizona, to be honest. Interest in the Suns is always good for the state. It just is. Like our sports teams, we've had a lot of sports teams, and some of them have left.
I noticed you said that, past tense.
Well, I live in Tucson, so we got our Cactus League games stopped entirely. Our semi-pro baseball teams, they left, got a new one. They left. The Coyotes, they're gone. So we still have the Roadrunners. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know how long that lease is. So as soon as that happens, they're probably going to move them somewhere else. That's my guess. I'm not sure how they're doing fiscally. Speaking of hockey, the Florida Panthers are your Stanley Cup champions, back-to-back, an elite group of back-to-backers. I think about how it's probably because do you have any idea where the Panthers play?
They don't play in the Heat's arena, do they?
No, they don't play in Miami. They're outside of Miami.
Are they in Fort Lauderdale?
No, they're in like the middle of nowhere, Sawgrass. Like
I was going to
they're
give
in
a
the
shout out
swamp.
to Warren
They're in the
Shaw
swamp. Like when they're like, yeah, they're playing the cup in the swamp. It's the swamp.
Really?
It's legit the swamp. There's a huge mall and there's like some areas over there, but it's in a really weird spot.
It's a hockey arena though, specifically. Like it was built for them.
Yeah, I believe so. But it's it might be one of those Universal places. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what else would go on there.
Sure.
It's not like the Little Caesars Pizzeria, to be clear. Where you're double dipping.
Well, and that was the issue with the Coyotes is where are they going to play, right? Because they were playing for the last year or two. They were playing at Arizona State University's Mullet Arena, ironically, which is where TNA Against All Odds was at, and the recent TNA tapings. We'll briefly talk about TNA later. Yeah, venue-wise, I know that was an issue for the Coyotes when the lease ended here in the Westgate area, here in the Valley. Well, where in the heck is this team going to play if they're going to stay? It was at ASU, but then Tempe voters struck down a potential new hockey arena in the city, which was pretty shocking for those who were in favor of it. It was just a comedy of errors, man. We don't have a place for this team to play, and it seems like
they were asking way too much money from the city. It just never was going to happen.
Good.
They needed to put more money into it.
It was not good.
But that venue was incredible. Like that, what they had planned out, it looked amazing.
People were shocked. People were shocked. Yeah. Tempe, a liberal city, much like Tucson, a college town, liberal city. Folks were shocked that overwhelmingly Tempe voters said, "Nah."
Yeah, it was an insane amount of money to put into it. Where the owner's like, I can't believe the city rejected it. They made it too difficult. To blah blah blah. And it's like, you should have put more money into it. Like you're asking too much of the city. It's sort of like the Marlins stadium deal that they probably were looking at it more like that. And this is actually add value.
We're talking about millionaires and billionaires. And I think the vibe for a lot of these cases, I believe a bill is going through the Senate right now to get upgrades for Chase Field where the Diamondbacks play. Yeah. I think voters across the state are feeling like, yo, y'all got deep pockets. You pay for these things rather than it's complicated, but still sad the Coyotes left. Granted, I haven't been in Coyotes games since I was 8 years old. However, I enjoy having sports franchises here, and especially if they're successful, which to your point, we're such a tortured fan base that I would love to see a championship one of these years.
Mm.
The Phoenix Mercury, man, it just goes back to the Phoenix Mercury.
Yeah.
They're having a great regular season.
Yeah.
They're the most successful franchise in our state. We need to put some respect continuously on the Mercury's name because they are and continue to be the exemplary franchise in many ways for the entire state of Arizona. It's definitely not the Suns.
It's definitely not the Suns. Wow. Okay. I'm glad you said it. I was feeling it. They are a representative team. When I think about the Suns and how they're doing, I think about the way the books look.
Oh man,
that's
not the book one. Not the book one. Can I tell you, I was actually thinking about getting a new pair of book ones. This is true. I'm not just saying that, but it's in my cart right now, Foot Locker.
Oh Lord. Yeah. I mean, God's honest truth, I think they look like great wearable, not basketball shoes. I think they look like wonderful, not basketball shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would wear these pair for fashion purposes only.
Yeah, I would do that too. Okay. When people are like, yeah, look at those basketball shoes. Where? Where'd they go? Did you hide them somewhere?
There are some atrocious ones. There's a conversation. Maybe there's an episode to be had here of just unpacking not only the last 3 years of the Suns, but the rollout of the book one. And all of this is happening, this book one, the highs and lows of this rollout, while Devin Booker is at a fascinating place in his career, Brad. I remember we both had the merchandise, that 2021 finals run for the Suns, the Valley Oop, all the merch that was printed.
Incredible. That was
Not
incredible.
only do I see it at Goodwill's, every Goodwill I go to in the greater Phoenix area, I'm so serious about this.
Yeah, I believe it.
But also, Devin Booker was on this road to ascension, and the past 2 years have been really a fall back to earth for him. So I wonder what he's going to look like next year. I wonder about, dare I say, the book twos, and if there'll be more of a consistent hit with audiences, because you and I have talked about it on air. Some of the book one designs have been atrocious. Others I really enjoy. I own a couple pairs, but there have been some. I know they're on sale right now at Dick's Sporting Goods for like $48. They're available in every size. The book one Flagstaff joints, the dark green. The book one Sedonas that are not good.
Yeah, those are
The-
rough.
the-
Those are the ones I
they're
think
the-
of. Those are the ones I think of. Yeah.
It's just, questions have to be answered over the next year. We shall see.
Well, Tyler, I know we're going to be answering some questions about WWE, about AEW, about a movie. You got a GI at the movies today. I was surprised by that. We got a Gutbuster. I have no idea what this is, so I can't wait to hear about it. I haven't even had time to look. But first we got to talk about Freya. It's time for Someday When You Have Kids. Play the music.
And now it's time for
Someday.
Someday When You Have Kids.
Someday I can have kids.
Last week was Freya's 8th birthday, and yesterday was her 8th birthday party. So last year we kept it really low key. It was Freya, it was her friend, and we met up in Scottsdale and spent 3-4 days, whatever it was, at the Great Wolf Lodge. It was 1 billion degrees outside.
I can't believe that was a year ago.
That was a year ago. It was a year ago. Yeah.
She was sick back then.
And I had a blast going on the water slides and stuff. Freya did not. She just wanted to go in the wave pool and kind of go by the little kid stuff. She's in that in between space where she's like, I'm a little kid, but I'm not a little kid. She's not. So it was difficult for her to want to get on a raft or anything like that. And then she finally got on one. She's like, let's do it like 9 more times. But it was the spinny one. I just, still sick thinking about it. This year, she wanted a Minecraft party. She wanted a Minecraft themed birthday party. I'm sure it was spurred on by the movie because we had just seen the movie when Jess was like, hey, what kind of movie or what kind of party you want to have this year? Minecraft. It's like, all right, well, a little recency bias there, but okay. So Jess rented out a truck that plays video games. There's like 5 or 6 screens inside of this truck, and there was like 10 kids in there and a couple of parents playing video games on these walls of monitors. It was really, really cool. And she decorated this house. Now, Tyler, someday when you have kids, your partner's going to decide to have a birthday party at your house. What I need you to know is that while it sounds cheaper, while it sounds more convenient because it's at home, none of those things are true. None of those words are true. It is a nightmare of getting things done. Now, if you're on top of it and your house is set and your backyard is great and you've never touched it and you don't need to because it's like a wonderful, magical land of perfection, unlike mine, then you're good. But if it's not, my friend, you are going to have a sweaty, sunburned week filled with yard work, hoisting things into the sky that you have no business hoisting, digging out tree roots, just doing absurd stuff, and then walking in and traipsing mud all over the floor because that's what's happened, and then getting looks like, why would you do this? But man, did it come together. Shout out to Jess because she decorated this house so well and so thoughtfully. And Freya had a great time. The kids had a blast. There was the Minecraft movie on the TV. We got Little Caesars over here. We got drinks for the kids. We got drinks for the adults. I sucked down like 5 64-ounce waters before the day started because I was outside pouring concrete, which is the thing I did. Absolute madness. But I'll send you the video later of her opening some presents. The reactions, the excitement, the energy of all the kids was so awesome. It was so much fun. Kids are kids, man. And they just had such a great time hanging out, playing with each other, being goofy. And Freya had a great day. And you always want your kid to have a great day on their birthday. So to watch her have this really special day, even though it was a ton of work, the house is really clean. The house is really clean. The backyard is pretty well organized and set for the summer now. So we had to get it all done at once, but I'm glad it happened. You'll find out. I know you'll find out someday when you have kids.
So beautiful. Happy belated birthday, Freya Winchester, 8 years old. We knew this day would come, Brad, but my goodness, what a special young lady you and Jess have.
I have a short story that happened before this. So on her birthday, which was on Friday, I was out in the back and I was digging the post holes for the concrete pour, and Freya came out to talk to me, and she was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Okay." I was just showing her around. She was just out to hang out with Dad, and I looked at my phone and I saw I had a text from her friend Dax, from her dad, his dad, and he was like, "Hey, can I call you? Are you by Freya? Dax wants to say happy birthday." And I was like, "Oh shoot, this is like 2 hours ago, and his bedtime's around when I got the text. Freya's is around 10 hours after that." So I got the text. I was like, "Crap, I missed this. I'm sorry. I've been outside working." And he was like, "Okay." So I looked at Freya and I said, "Hey, I just texted Harper's mom the address." And then I said, "I am sorry. I missed a text from Dax. He was going to call you and say happy birthday, but it was a while ago." So then the phone rang and it was Dax's dad. So I was like, "Oh, cool. I'll just, hello? Hey, you want me to just hand it to her?" "Yeah, go ahead." And I just handed her the phone. Freya did not know it was Dax. Freya thought it was Harper because I just talked about Harper.
Oh.
So she's talking to him about dance class and about all this stuff. Mind you, I didn't hear a word of this because that kid answered the phone and then just walked the heck off. She walked back into the house. She's like, "Hello? Hey," and just left. And I'm like outside in the dark looking around going like, "I don't have a phone."
Eight going on 18.
How am I going to listen to this podcast? I was in the middle of it. It was just getting good here. So she came back out and she looked pretty upset. And she came back inside and I was like, "What's going on?" Jess was like, she's really upset because she thought it was Harper. She didn't know it was Dax. Unbeknownst to her, on the other end of this line, Dax called to play on his little guitar, just bang on it and sing happy birthday, basically. While he started playing it, one of the strings broke and he was like, he got a cut from it. He was bleeding and he was like looking at his dad going, "What do I do?" Like, but he just powered through and like, he was super upset after he hung up upset. Freya hung up upset. He was upset because he's like, "I ruined it. My hand's bleeding. The string broke. And oh, it was awful." And Freya's like, "I thought it was a different person. I feel so stupid." Like, amazing. And then, of course, they saw each other yesterday and it was all hugs and all.
It was
fun.
all good.
So,
Yeah, it was all good.
yeah. It was great, but it was
great.
really, really, really funny. Like, she had no idea that he was going through it on the other end. She was going through it over here. I love that so much.
Yeah.
And it's what a time, man. What a time.
Yeah, what a beautiful weekend. Beautiful segment as always, Brad. All right, Brad, it's time. 2 words, 10 letters. Steph Watch. She is who we thought she was. Not only an incredible wrestler, but Brad Winchester, Stephanie Vaquer seems like a wonderful person. I say this because we are back after taking a 1-week hiatus with Steph Watch. There wasn't a ton to discuss last week. What a difference the next 7 days have made. Not only did Stephanie Vaquer wrestle on Raw, another standout performance, this time in a fatal 4-way. Unfortunately, she lost. We'll actually talk about the winner here in just a moment. That's Asuka is the center of my question. But another standout performance in the match against Asuka, Ivy Nile, and Raquel Rodriguez. But what's noteworthy here about this week's Steph Watch, Brad, is Stephanie Vaquer won the internet once again. She made 2 separate appearances on my YouTube feed this week. Number 1, she was a guest on the Brie and Nikki Bella show.
Yeah.
You call that Nikki Bella mispronounced Stephanie Vaquer's last name. This was now 2 Mondays ago at the Raw stop in Phoenix.
Yeah, that's right.
It's probably the most noteworthy Stephanie Vaquer news of that particular week, actually, which is maybe why we didn't have this segment on the last GI. But this week, Nikki and Brie Bella welcome Stephanie Vaquer to their show. I highly recommend you check it out on YouTube. Really great 30-minute conversation with La Primera about not only about the gaffe on Nikki Bella's part, but about Stephanie Vaquer's love of pro wrestling, becoming the first South American WWE superstar, and much more. And then, Brad, I'll have you know, on Friday, I get a notification on YouTube. Stephanie Vaquer is the special guest on Sheamus's Celtic Warrior workout series. And that's where you really got to see more of her personality. I've watched it several times now for research purposes. And again, she seems like an absolute joy. Funny, charismatic. She taught Sheamus some Spanish as well as how to salsa. It just made me so happy. The fact that people are really gravitating toward her and love Stephanie Vaquer as much as I clearly do here. It made me so good. Made me so happy. So good to see her thriving, and another huge week for hopefully our future women's champion. But in the meantime, again, I want to speak about the winner of that aforementioned Fatal 4-Way match. Brad, after a 13-month absence, Asuka returned to WWE last week. She advanced in the Night of Champions tournament, and as mentioned on commentary during her match, the landscape of the women's division has shifted since we last saw the Empress of Tomorrow. Here's my question.
Anytime.
What did you think of her first match back, and how do you think she slots into a loaded women's division on Raw, now featuring the aforementioned Stephanie Vaquer, Roxanne Perez, and several other incredible superstars?
I kind of feel like they're going to let her lean more into this because she started doing the Kana lean before she got hurt. I think they're going to let her keep doing that. To me, it almost feels sort of transition out-esque for her, where they'll let her do that character that she did in Japan. Maybe that's her way to get out and go back to Japan, or do it in another company under that other name, but keep that kind of gimmick going. I'm not saying that I think she should leave. I just feel like where does she fit and where does she go now? And it's probably a good time to have her in. Liv just got hurt. Sucks. She's going to be out for a long time. Feel so bad for her. On
a drop toe hold, right? Against Kairi Sane.
Yeah, and Kairi feels really bad about it because somebody got hurt in a match with her, and she just beats herself up about that. And
Kairi Sane is back, by the way. Best shape of her career. The division is just stacked, man. Please continue.
Kairi Sane is back, and they continue to not really know how to use her super well. They just sort of slot her in to be a piece, and it's like, man, it's Kairi, man. So I don't know where she goes from here. Hopefully nothing dumb. Hopefully something meaningful. What I do know, before I say like what I thought about her coming back, is that there were some spots in this match that were awesome. There were some Haas parts of this match that were like, ooh, this is going to be fun. She hits hard. She worked strong style for so long that they're probably going to let him go. Like, yeah, just go do that. So I have a feeling that we're going to be getting some really, really, really fun stuff out of all these wrestlers that learn how to wrestle, not how to be wrestlers, but learn how to wrestle in places that work a little bit stiffer, versus learning how to work a style of WWE wrestling and presenting your character and doing those kinds of things, which WWE does excellently. I think the wrestling part of it is going to be incredible now that she's back. I think she slots in that mix of, I'm always going to be in contention for a title. I think it would be great to see her go for like the US or the Intercontinental titles, because we haven't seen her ever do that. I don't think was there when they existed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and currently we have two other women of Asuka's era in Bayley and Becky Lynch fighting for the women's Intercontinental Championship, which Becky Lynch holds right now. But it's just it's a completely different division than when she was last here a year ago. It's pretty surreal. As
far as her coming back, I thought it was dumb that they teased it, and I thought it was dumb that she was just on the tournament bracket. Surprises. Have it be to be announced. Give her that pop. Like, people will go nuts if she returns like that. Yeah, they knew she was coming back, but it's like, are people really going to go like, I don't know. It just felt like, I don't know whose decision it was. It didn't feel great. It felt kind of like, oh, Asuka's coming back. That's really cool. But having her come back as a surprise feels like a much bigger deal. And she immediately becomes more threatening than just having her in that match.
Right.
On that card.
Yeah.
And obviously we know she wasn't just in that match, but but I think it's like, all right, if we're going to do that, like let her show up and like really give the crowd that moment, give her that moment. And they took it away for nothing, really. And that if you're trying to create moments, that's a moment. And you really farted that one out. I'm glad she's back. I thought she looked really good. She didn't look like she was like, oh man, this is going to be slow Asuka or an Asuka that is not going to be able to do this. She looked great.
I'm eager to see what's next for her.
Yeah.
And this was part of my thought during Steph watch was, okay, what is next for Steph?
Mm-hmm.
Now that, okay, she's made her debut, there's all this euphoria around her. She had the Money in the Bank match. She didn't win, but she was prominently featured. Same deal in this women's 4-way. I think based off those face-offs that we got with Asuka and Stephanie Vaquer, the potential chemistry, the magnetism, if you will, between those two, I think that could be a potential rivalry. Whether Asuka gets gold here in the next few weeks or doesn't, I think those two could really make some magic together, and that rivalry could be very beneficial.
Agreed.
For both women.
Agreed, and you know we love them both. All the women that have been involved in all of these angles right now, like that roster is
it's so good.
It's like a cheat code of talent.
Really, for real.
And I say that as I wrote down in my notes, like AEW's got an incredibly loaded women's roster right now too.
That Collision main event. Thank you. Finally, that was Athena's back on our regularly scheduled TV. We like this.
Yeah. So there's just like women's wrestling is just kind of on top of the world right now. And I just wish they were presented more like they were on top of the world. But it's kind of hard to do that and ignore John Cena. So Tyler, speaking of being on top, Gunther is on top for now, but he is next. Now, my question might be a little bit of a left field question. So Gunther is going to be fighting Goldberg. Liv is hurt. The women crushed it on Monday, and John Cena crushed CM Punk on the mic. That was fun. That was really fun. That segment, the Cena pipe bomb was a lot of fun. However, the biggest fight this week happened in Iran. Tyler, how do you think the U.S. bombing impacts the Saudi show, or how do you think it impacts professional wrestling in general?
Wow. I mean, obviously,
Iran or Iran. I want to say Iran because Iran feels disrespectful.
Sure. Yeah. I obviously believe that WWE and Riyadh season and TKO and everyone involved with Night of Champions will do whatever it takes to make sure this show happens. This is where, obviously pro wrestling in many ways is a world of fantasy and make believe. But this is one of those weekends where the real world and its complexities really, it's impossible to talk about wrestling without including that human real element. Mm-hmm. Man, I would honestly be shocked if it affected Night of Champions in any way in terms of moving that date or moving the location or anything like that. I think they have so much money invested on both parties, but WWE and TKO have so much money invested in the partnership with Saudi Arabia that I would be shocked if anything changes with that date, that show happening this weekend.
Yeah.
However, if moving that date, changing that venue, whatever the case may be, will be safer for the talent and the fans involved, obviously. And I wasn't planning to watch the show anyway. We'll talk about other wrestling options that weekend in probably in the What Did We Miss segment later on in this episode. But if they have to move that a week back or whatever the case is, to me, that is obviously much more important than having this show if there are potential risks. And that's not a groundbreaking statement by me. Obviously, I know WWE and everyone obviously wants their fans and their performers to be safe. But Brad, it's pretty jarring, again, in a world of largely based on fantasy and suspension of belief, that this huge global situation has happened and could potentially have impacts on WWE's product heading in to the weekend. I don't think anything is going to change by any means, but it's still something I'm processing. How about you?
Kind of the same. I remember there's something that happened like not the last time they had Night of Champions or Crown Jewel or whatever other show they had out there. Sands of Time, as Alex would say. I I'm not sure when it was, but I remember we had a similar conversation where it's like the state of the world, the thing that happened. Do you think this impacts what's going on? And it might have been what's happening with Israel and Palestine. I can't remember, but it was what is the cultural or the economic impact of these things? And it sucks to try to like go, well, yeah, we had an offensive, but you can call it whatever you want. It's an act of war. Now we're in it and things are going to change. And a lot of people were like, oh, WWE shouldn't go. WWE should go. Show them that you're not afraid. All of these different things are happening. These layers of people talking about how WWE should run their business online. And I thought it was a relevant question for us to try to address, even though neither of us are equipped to really tackle it in a, I don't want to say thoughtful way, because I don't think we're not being thoughtful about it, but it's informed, I guess. I think that they're going to have to be more measured with where they go, and they're going to have to get assurances from essentially the monarchy about security and all of those things over there. And it's not like Saudi Arabia and Iran are high-fiving each other. They got their own conflicts, but there's also terrorism and reactionary tactics and all kinds of other things that you can't predict, because the whole point of terrorist cells is that you don't know who's in them. So it kind of scares me a little bit about talent safety and all of those things, where it's like, it's not the same as like somebody catching up to you in the hotel and yelling at you or trying to fight you or whatever. This is a different thing. So I'm curious to see what happens. I think the show will still go on as planned. Probably. I wonder if this affects talent going over. I'm not sure. And which talent and stuff.
And speaking of that, Brad, there was a Fightful Select report that came out not too long before we started recording here. So credit to Sean Ross Sapp and company. It says Fightful reached out to WWE reps in an official capacity to ask if anything will have changed given news that President Trump and company delivered about those airstrikes. And they being Fightful have not heard back from WWE yet. However, one higher up, it's noted on background, said the situation was being monitored accordingly. It goes on to say the WWE talent are currently set to travel out, to your point, midweek via a charter plane that would take them to Riyadh. If this was just a Night of Champions show, it would have been a very small flight, as only 10 wrestlers are slated to compete on the show as of now. I didn't realize it was that few. However, WWE has a 3-hour SmackDown planned for the city as well, which I did not realize. And then it goes on to say, beyond that, the source said that Saudi is one of the safest places in the world, end quote, as it relates to the situation. And another source believed that WWE would be made of assurances of said safety. Finally, the site of the event is on full build mode as of now, and fan events in Riyadh are planned to be announced for this coming week. Brad, this situation in some ways reminds me of the college football playoff. I want to say it was in Louisiana, where there was that horrible situation that happened where somebody left an explosive device. And my recollection is that college football playoff game still went on a day or two after. So it's this, I don't know, man, when there's a lot of money on the line, there's money to be made. I think sometimes that takes precedent. But again, as you and I agree, safety has to come first. Luckily, the college football playoff game, to my recollection, that went off without any issues. Thank the Lord. And hopefully, obviously, for this week and this coming weekend, for the fans, for the performers, for everyone involved behind the scenes, people are safe and are able to have a great time, around this sport that you and I hold so dear. It's scary, man. It's a very, very concerning time and scary world we live in.
Yeah, and I just think about the fan events. Kids are going to these events. Kids are going to the shows.
Absolutely.
And it's just like, how do you maybe you can guarantee the safety of the talent, but can you guarantee the safety of all the people there to see the talent? And that's the part that's like, man, would I want to take my family to the show? I'm not sure that would be a thing I'm very interested in. So yeah, I just hope everything goes safely and without any kind of interference, and thinking of everybody affected. Okay, Tyler, weird transition, but we got to we got to talk about some levity, some lighter things, and by the title of this film, it doesn't sound light, but I can't wait to hear what you got to tell me about. It's time for GI at the movies. Cue up the music. Let's go.
And now it's time for GI at the movies.
I was scrolling Netflix over the weekend and I came across this really interesting documentary. It's been out for a few weeks, Brad. It's entitled The Astroworld Tragedy. So we're going to pick the vibes back up on this episode, we promise. But actually on a really similar note, the Astroworld Tragedy. So back in 2021, hip-hop artist Travis
That's right.
Scott,
I remember this.
Yeah, hip-hop artist Travis Scott held his annual Astroworld Festival in his home city of Houston, Texas. And this was the first one since the pandemic. So there was a year off, and this is a massive, massive concert. Took a year off and they were back. So there was a lot of excitement for this festival. And it ended in tragedy. So the reason why this particular festival is noteworthy and why in the title it's the Astroworld Tragedy is because 10 concert goers ended up dying at this event. And it's so crazy. And the documentary really focuses on the fan experience, and it actually begins with hearing from different concert goers about how excited they were for this event and just all the kind of hysteria that went on around the city, really leading up to this event for positive reasons, a lot of excitement, and then certainly the hysteria that followed and the dread in the morning, because the documentary in many cases argues that Live Nation, the folks who were in charge of this event, even Travis Scott, dare we say, there were a lot of folks who were negligible about all that went into this event in terms of crowd control. Brad, there's video featured in the documentary of folks getting into this park because it's at, I think it's NRG Park, not too far from where the Texans play, but the festival happened on these grounds, and there's video from the very beginning when the gates were open, in effect, where you have this just mass, this sea of concert goers, largely folks, let's say 25 and under, who just stormed the fences. So from the very beginning, the fences were pulled down. You have a bunch of folks, we don't even know if they have tickets to this event, who just got into the park. Then there's law enforcement trying to work on crowd control. There's not nearly enough security and law enforcement working at this event. And that really bleeds over into hours and hours later when Travis Scott is the headliner for night one. You have simply more concert goers who attended Travis Scott's performance than could safely be at capacity.
Right.
So it's horrible. And I'm getting chills actually thinking about this. I was just really angry and sad watching this 90-minute documentary. You have 10 concert goers who were trampled during this performance. A big, or not really big, but an aspect of Travis Scott's concert that's well documented and why people want to go is folks really turn up at his concert, and he's known for encouraging that. People just get super rowdy. And in this particular case, again, because of the lack of thought and organization and care that went into designing the structure of this concert, folks were packed in together from the very beginning. Folks were documented on this documentary as saying it was hard to breathe. And then as the songs went on, the crowd got rowdier and rowdier, which of course Travis Scott is egging on because that's what he does as a performer. People got trampled and people got stuck beneath each other. And again, 10 people attended this concert and did not make it back home. There's been litigation, there's been lawsuits. And by the end of the documentary, you learn that Live Nation and Travis Scott have not been found liable in a court for any of this. There's not been any payments or anything of the sort. Many families are still in litigation against Live Nation, in some cases against Travis Scott. And it also goes into the fallout of, Travis Scott went on Instagram and delivered a message which many found as being pretty lackluster. And some of the fans featured in this Netflix documentary speak to their relationship to Travis Scott's music and his art is much different than it was now. Last part I want to leave you with, Brad, then I want to kick it to you, is the documentary also highlights that in 2024, again, this tragedy happened in 2021. In 2024, Live Nation and Travis Scott partnered to deliver the highest grossing live concert tour in the history of the country. So it's just, wow. Okay, so this awful thing happened. I'm not saying Live Nation or Travis Scott wanted 10 people to die.
Of course not.
But due to their negligence, particularly Live Nation, it happened. And here we are 3 years later, and their money is not affected whatsoever. In fact, they went on to shatter records and gross the highest selling tour in North American history. It made me feel icky. I think in many ways is related to what we just spoke about, that I'm kind of at a loss for words, man. I didn't feel great by the end of this documentary, and I don't really know what to make of Travis Scott. You and I, and there's a wrestling element, right? Because Travis Scott popped up, at WrestleMania, and he's been a part of WWE, and you can buy his merchandise on WWEshop.com for ungodly amounts of money. But it just makes me think about, wow, this guy really is one of the biggest pop artists in the world. His music doesn't speak to me. I don't see it. But it's unquestioned that even with this tragedy, as completely awful and sad as it was, it has not affected his bottom line. And one could argue he's as big as ever, including being featured in one of the most prominent storylines in WWE.
Yeah. When you said
I don't know what to do.
I wondered. This is pretty dark. I guess it's not, because it's about the other concerts. But I was wondering if. Do you think they announced the record gate at the concert?
Exactly. Right. Yep.
Tie it back to WWE.
Yep. That's. It's just gross, man. It's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. I recommend this on Netflix, but be prepared to feel something when you're watching.
Well, I got a tab open, and I'm going to check it out later. I'm sure I will. There's a couple of those things where it's like. This one I'm really interested in, because there's the I can't remember what it was called, but there was the amusement park in the 70s, 80s in New Jersey, and I can't remember what the name of it is. There's a documentary about it on HBO that is, or Max, excuse me, that is totally worthwhile. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like Murder Park or something like that.
Jeez.
It's not about people dying because of murder. It was so poorly constructed that people were like launching off of the sides. And they didn't have engineers make this. They just had guys that were like, this would be fun, and then just made it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know what you're talking about, but a lot of the themes of what you're saying here are seen in Astroworld.
Yeah, it sounded very similar. Like,
yeah, a lot of the frustration was there's footage. I mean, it goes kind of in chronological order. There are certain parts of the performance that are documented, where there's one particular scene where Travis Scott can see a fan being kind of carted out, because they're just in a terrible position of health. And then there's other moments where fans tried to verbalize to, whether it be Scott or those working at the concert, hey, this is not okay. People are passing out. This is not normal. And it even shows communication and text evidence of folks being aware of what's going on.
Crazy.
But again, we're delivering this concert. People paid money to be here. We're just going to continue, rather than recognizing the severity of, even if one person is dying.
Yeah,
that's grounds similar to our conversation about Night of Champions. That's grounds to cancel the show if people's health, even one, is potentially at risk. Mind you, 10 people, and that doesn't include people who were injured and need to go to the hospital. 10 people perished at this concert, man, and it's amazing how life just kind of continues to go on, but not for 10 people. So it's pretty gross, but the documentary is really well done, and I'd be curious to hear what our audience thought, or if they're going to check it out, will think of this. Let us know, obviously here on YouTube in the comment section. If you're listening to us, reach out to us, let us know on our socials at GIPod19.
Okay, Tyler, we got to get into AEW.
Yeah, let's get the vibes back up.
I can feel the energy right now has slipped from like, ooh, this is going to be fun, to we got conflicts, we got death at concerts. Let's get into AEW, where we just simply have Arena Mexico and Collision.
Yeah, reason to be happy.
Yeah.
Arena Mexico. Well, let me ask you first. What did you think about that show? The aesthetics of it, given your tech background. I thought it was cool. I thought it was awesome. Really well done.
I thought it was a really smart thing to be like, oh, Hangman, you know Spanish, you should go out there and start this. I thought that gave me Kenny Omega in New Japan speaking Japanese and surprising the crowd.
I love our champion, our future champion. Hangman.
I thought that was the move. That was really great. I thought there were some There were some moments in there that felt like, ooh, you're gonna get hurt, especially in the MJF Mystico match. That scared me a little bit. But overall, I thought presentation wise and just the energy of that building was so good, so good. And I really enjoyed that they committed to Hangman's promo for the in arena audience, and I think that might be one of the differences between WWE and AEW is that AEW, their shows really are working still for the crowd in the house.
It's true. Double or Nothing in particular.
Yes.
We had a great time.
Versus the crowd at home, where obviously it's for them as much as anybody, and we're going to shoot it that way. But I'm going to address the crowd, and this is for the crowd. And it felt very much for the audience in attendance, which just feels really good when you see it, because then it feels authentic, I think. And I really enjoyed it a lot.
I'm glad. Me too. And then we got a really awesome collision. And mind you, my expectations,
it was a really good one. Mine was way lower after Arena Mexico. I was like, all right,
and
Seattle will be fine. But
you and I believe AEW's been guilty of that on more than one occasion. Is you'll have all of this energy and hype onto Dynamite, right? It is the A show for AEW, and then Collision several times over has felt like an afterthought. I would include this week. But I tuned in, Brad, and I thought this was one of the most fun collisions of the entire year. Kota Ibushi popped up. You had the All-Star 8 Women's Tag main event. Some of our favorites featured in that. And there were also a lot of other noteworthy headlines following that show. And that's actually where I want to steer the conversation. One of my favorite quotes from Collision was from Ricochet on commentary watching Gates of Agony versus Jet Speed. When asked about Gates of Agony and how they were performing during the match, Ricochet said, and I quote, "I'm an impressive person, and I'm impressed."
That's great.
It popped me. I love this for Ricochet. He seems so comfortable, and he's just so leaning into this heel character. Yeah. And that was one of his one-liners that really got me. But sticking with the one and only, the superstar who's out of this world, if you will, I think we're seeing the seeds for Gates of Agony being the guys that Ricochet is going to align with, something I called 4 weeks ago. What's the ceiling for this potential trio? Moreover, do you see them as a vehicle to help Ricochet, say, become a singles champ? Or would you rather this potential trio dethrone the current champs, the Ops, as soon as September's All Out pay-per-view?
It'd be a big deal if they dethrone those guys. I think I would like that, because that would help Gates of Agony, and it would put gold on Ricochet. I can see him being a single star. I can see him being TNT champ. Like, I don't see that not happening for him, but I want him in the main title feud picture. I don't know that he's quite there yet. But TNT seems super reasonable and makes a lot of sense for his character. Because he goes out and wrestles every week, and give him a belt to have to defend and have them chase him. I think that could be a lot of fun. Yeah. I think the ceiling is trios champs. I really do. Yeah. Because I think it would help them. Plus they're great. They deserve to have a run, get them on TV, all of those things.
I love that. I need the Gates of Agony to hold gold. I need Ricochet as well, but Gates of Agony, Brad, I've said this to you. If they were in any other promotion, I think they would be the centerpiece of the tag division. Imagine those two guys, Toa Leona and Bishop Khan, popping up in, let's say, TNA. I think they would. I think they would run that division. WWE, and maybe take a little more time, be a little more complex.
Yeah, but having them fight like the Viking Raiders.
Yeah,
Raiders,
for sure.
You know what? That would be
for sure. And when they come out in their official gear, they didn't do this for Collision for whatever reason, but when they come out in their official gear, and if you pair that with Ricochet and just the gold of it all, not just holding gold, but I think gold is kind of a prime color for this potential trio. I just am so high on what these three can do. I think Kyle Fletcher is probably going to be the guy to dethrone Adam Cole for the TNT championship. And I think that would affect kind of Ricochet's timeline to get that title. To me, pivoting and having these three go for the trios title would be the move here. And if you think about the Ops, if we're getting closer, dare I say, to the end of the Death Riders, I don't know how you feel about this, because we have these Chris Statlander teases. If Mox drops the title to Hangman at All in Texas next month, which must happen, and then we get the descent of the Death Riders, who could be the team to feud with the Ops and to defeat them, I would love for that to be Ricochet and the Gates of Agony.
Me too, but I think it's just as likely to be Don Callis' family.
Oh no.
I mean,
with their seven or
Takeshita,
8 members that they have Okada now.
Yeah,
I don't think Okada
Fletcher
doesn't need a family. He just needs to just be him. What are we doing?
If Fletcher gets the TNT title, then you have,
he's going to.
And Okada loses this title, then you have Okada, Takeshita, and Josh Alexander as a trios.
Jeez,
that would definitely be able to take on the Ops.
Yeah,
and,
we saw them beat the Paragon.
Right, and that could be a lot of fun. So
yeah, that's true.
But I also think what you said. But maybe have them go after the tag titles, and then Ricochet does the international, or
that's an option.
So there's definitely places there, but gold for sure.
Definitely, your point though is so great that sometimes you and I reflect on. I mean, we did it last week, right, with the women's tag division AEW. We speculated on who could become the first champs, Julia Hart and Sky Blue.
Yeah.
We talked about Ty J, Megan Bayne, and Penelope Ford, but then we inserted Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale in the combo, and it's like, oh yeah, shoot, nobody's beating them. I feel that way about the team you just brought up, the potential trio of Fletcher, Takeshita, and Alexander. I think we check all the boxes there.
It's an Avengers team,
I don't know in kayfabe.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be beating those guys. So it's a fair point by you, and a very, very astute one at that.
Okay, Tyler, Kota Ibushi is back. He looks incredible, by the way.
He's been hitting those reps. Yes, sir.
Arena Mexico was a lot of fun, and MJF unmasked Mystico and lost. He lost the match. Not something that I thought I would see. He lost by not really losing, and then everybody leaves happy. It was a DQ finish, so he didn't get pinned. Mystico didn't get pinned. All good, but then he took off the mask. Now, Tyler, MJF was reportedly in a physical altercation at his hotel because of this, which he thought was funny. So my question to you is a couple of options here. Is this an example of people buying into the old school way of professional wrestling and just going like, no such thing as kayfabe, it just is real? Is this a cultural misunderstanding where it's, no, you took off that mask, you deserve this, even though it was definitely an agreed upon spot? Or is this something else? And outside of people being physically threatened, do you like your audiences being that invested in storylines? Go ahead. I'll leave the floor to you.
No, in terms of that level of investment, that's just a whisker too much, if you will. Yeah. But I really think it's a hybrid of those first two options. So this is where on the test I would check A and B. It really is a case of the unmasking and what that represents, particularly for wrestling fans in Mexico. Like you said, obviously Mystico and MJF agreed on this, but I think it's really the MJF character as a whole and him just flaunting the American flag everywhere, particularly given the context of where we're at this month as a country and what we spent 10 minutes discussing earlier. You know, that's certainly a choice as a character, but then also paired with the cultural context of being in the epicenter of lucha libre and unmasking what seems to be arguably their most popular wrestling figure of the century in Mystico. I forgot just how over he is, but I was reminded during that entrance and the fans singing like, oh man, no, this is their dude. So to me, it's a hybrid of both, Brad. But in terms of investment, when you have fans not only going to talent's hotel, let's say for best case scenario, if you will, an autograph, or worst case scenario, wanting to squabble up, that's a little bit too much investment. And I'm just glad people were okay. And it sounds like you said, MJF wore that as a badge of honor. I'm just glad that that's how this story ended.
Yeah.
Versus something that could have been much, much worse. A little too much investment for me, but that's just my personal proclivities.
Yeah, well, squabble up's in my head now, so thanks for that. So MJF, the fan interaction, it's too much. It's way too much. I love that people care that much, though.
Oh,
I love that they care
sure.
in their I guess fandom as much as they do, but this is just like when people get in fights at sporting events, and it's like you're fighting over a beer because somebody threw it at you because you said the Bears suck. What are we doing? Like, what are we
We
doing?
take our sports team so seriously. It's like, we have no impact on the outcome of this game.
No, they're there to play a game.
We are merely spectators. Chill,
competitive spirit. They're out there to win because they want to win.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
Just take a breath. We saw that at the Double or Nothing up in the stands where people were like getting super aggressive because alcohol was involved, and
usually is
because they get a little bit too tribal and all of those things. So I'm not a big fan of that, but I really, really, really liked, I like that it happened. It made me feel like it's an old school thing. So like, it'd be different if like they were held back.
Right.
I'd be fine with that. But I don't like that it was at a hotel. I don't like that it was, like that's the kind of stuff where it's like, or wherever it was outside of the arena. I know that. I don't like that part. When it creeps out of there, then suddenly you got a problem. It can become dangerous for both parties involved, and it's not a good time. People need to chill.
And that's part of the charm of, maybe charm isn't the right word, but I guess the what gives MJF some extra aura is he does feel like a throwback in many ways to a different time in pro wrestling where we've seen it. And I wonder if there's been any conversations backstage where MJF will be amongst the audience and just do some things that are maybe a little bit questionable, where he'll just, fans may take it a little bit too far, feel attacked, and that's just part of the character. And I think when you're on different soil outside of the United States, I mean, who knows if there was an interaction with that fan at the venue, or the fan just took the middle fingers and the unmasking so personally that they sought MJF out at the hotel. Yeah. But I think MJF as a character, I'd be really interested to hear his thoughts one day, potentially, on just how he gets in character. And I'm sure he's an awesome guy, outside of the ring. But when he has that MJF heel character, he's just really performing. And in some instances, I think we've seen where fans, fans really take it to heart. And in this case, Brad from Arena Mexico are ready to tell MJF what's on their mind.
I'm really curious to know what the people on the set of Happy Gilmore 2, what their experience was, to kind of get an idea of what MJF is like.
He's very
in a
talented.
Different context. Yeah.
And
I'm really excited for that. I want to see how he does in that. So Tyler, I don't have any context, so let's just get into it. It's something we haven't done in a long time. Gutbuster of the week. Play the music.
And now it's time for the Gutbuster of the week.
Okay, we're going to end on an extra joyous note here, Brad. This was shared with me. I can't believe I was sleeping on this story all month. This is actually from weeks ago. I'll tell on myself here, but I would imagine we have members of our audience who, like me, like you, were not hip to the story until right now. Brad Winchester, there's an internet sensation whose name is Tyler. I'm going to tell you first. In summary, Tyler Hayworth, great work name. The TLDR, the too long don't read version of this is simply, you'll see this headline online. White guy sings Keith Sweat on a cruise ship. 20-year-old Georgia resident Tyler Hayworth had a viral moment earlier this month because on a cruise, he sang Keith Sweat's Nobody. I've been on a cruise before, Brad. How many cruises have you been on?
Counting the last one, 0.
Okay, great. I was on one cruise. I was like, I don't think we've had Cruise Corner here on the show. We've never talked about cruises before. But I was on one single cruise. This was maybe when I was 11 or 12. And so they'll have these different opportunities to have fun when you're on a cruise, right? You can go to a magic show. You can play bingo. I'm making cruises sound great right now, obviously.
Shuffleboard, buffet.
Carnival should be a sponsor for us. You can eat pizza, and they'll also, of course, have karaoke, because that's just a common societal group thing. And so in Tyler's case, and this is a majority Black audience.
Yes, I'm watching this right now. I got this going in the background. This is so good.
So
I can't even hear it. It's amazing.
Oh man, it makes me so happy. It was a good week for my algorithm. I got Steph Vaquer, I got Tyler.
The woman in the blue that gets up right away.
Oh man. Okay, so to set
good.
this up, the audience had no idea what this 20-year-old Tyler's white, by the way. I don't know if we established that. Actually, I think I said that in my headline. Anyway, it's very important to know
Pretty
Tyler
sure you
is
said
white.
it 3 times now. Yeah.
Pretty sure
Not
it's
4.
important to know this. So the audience has no clue what Tyler's about to sing, and it wasn't a case where the first few notes of the song played and the audience got it.
Mhm.
It wasn't one of those instances at all. The song starts to play. Tyler has his microphone backwards cap. He has his slides on, and he starts committing to singing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still white. He's still white
Yeah.
at this point in the club, and he starts singing "Nobody." He goes, "I wanna touch you." Right? And the audience, like you said, Brad, you have to check this out if you haven't already. After this episode, search this. The audience just goes nuts. Huge pop. You have all the aunties who are reacting. Some are getting up and saying, wow, I cannot believe this is happening. This is great.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And he continues to sing the song and does his little dance. And he just so commits to this. The crowd is in the palm of his hand. And again, it garnered millions of views. The reason I want to tell you this, Brad, not only because it makes me happy and I'm glad it does the same for you, is because in an interview with TMZ, following how viral this moment went, Tyler says that he has received so much love on social media.
Yeah.
Check this out, including DMs.
Yes.
Some DMs from ladies with maybe some spicy messages. I guess some with a Cash App love letter, which I didn't realize was a thing.
Wow.
So my takeaway from this, it's not about Tyler Hayworth. It's about me, Tyler McDowell Blanket. Maybe I've been thinking about this all wrong. Maybe the move isn't to apply for Batch and not get called back. Maybe it's not to go on Facebook dating. Maybe the move is I need to go on the next Carnival cruise. I need to seek out the karaoke section. I need to sing some Keith Sweat. And then maybe that is my ascension into Hollywood and into to DM euphoria. Maybe that's the move for me. What do you think? Like
It
Tyler
might
Hayworth.
be. It might be. It might be. I don't know. Where do you do it? That's not a cruise ship. Do you do it somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't know. And part of it is like this particular guy did it, right? Like it's so unexpected. We thought he was going to sing some All-American Rejects, Brad. So when he comes out with Keith Sweat Nobody, man, it just the surprise element, the commitment to the bit. I'm just impressed with how Tyler executed this. And he also mentioned that he's received invitations to perform at weddings. We're gonna take him at his word. And I just love this for fellow Tyler. I love this for him. You gotta check out this clip.
I think you could pull it off, but you're gonna have to invert it, and it's gonna have to be Tyler singing Keith Urban to make this work.
Yes,
I think it's the only way that you could flip the script to get that kind of reaction. But it's just people are just gonna line dance at you.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be the same.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well,
maybe the energy's gonna be different.
Okay,
the energy might turn real bad real quick too. So, Tyler. What did we miss?
Yes, I have nothing more to say. That just really turned on me there. But thank you for that idea, Brad.
Like the crowd blood. Yes.
So what did we miss? 2 notes, both are wrestling centric. I teased it earlier. There is more wrestling happening this weekend than just Night of Champions. That is in the form of Ashe Wrestling. Right. Their latest live special is going down this Saturday, Ashe Return of the King. This is in reference to Cedric Alexander's debut in the company. He's returning to his home state. You also have Darius Lockhart versus Darius Carter for the Ashe Men's Championship. Kiera Hogan is in action. Bishop Khan is there. Jazz, wrestling legend, is going to be there for a meet and greet. Yes, cool. This is totally a case where if you and I were in Greensboro or just lived in North Carolina,
I'd be there for Jazz.
My family almost moved there years and years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, a whole other life. But this is a case where if you are anywhere near North Carolina, you should consider popping up. It's going to be great. Live streaming will be available. There will be a purchasable streaming link at ASHEWrestling.com. That's ASE Wrestling.com. Hopefully that is going to come out this week. And I can't wait to report back how that show is on the next GI. And then finally, Brad, a TNA note here. Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams for the TNA World title is set for Slammiversary, but we've received several teases that Mike Santana will be added to that match. He has to be. It's at the UBS Arena. It's in Long Island. I think we're going to get a triple threat, and I believe Mike Santana is going to leave Slammiversary as the new world champ.
Wow.
I'm also eager to see what the Masha Slamovich match is going to be. She, of course, is the Knockouts champion. It seems like Indy Hartwell versus Tessa Blanchard is going to be their own thing. Maybe that's another potential three-way match. We also have Masha taking on Killer Kelly this week. So I'm assuming Masha's going to beat Killer Kelly, but maybe we get a women's fatal four-way for the Knockouts title. We shall see. One more note here. Cedric Alexander actually popped up in TNA this past week. And we all signs point to us getting Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali for Slammiversary. So, man, that show is really shaping up nicely. And I'll be fascinated to see what TNA's Q3 looks like. They have a lot of momentum, and I just want them to do right by all their talent, but especially the Knockouts division. That's all I got. How about you?
I'm pretty sure that we got Fallen Gray and Masha Slamovich at Dreamwave. I'm pretty sure I saw Masha cutting a promo on Fallen Gray on social media, Arizona's own, which is really cool.
Wow.
I know.
I was not aware.
I'm telling you, there's an ascension happening.
She's coming up. Yeah.
I think so. Tyler, I wrote down a couple of things. One of the things was the etymology of the word copy. I will be doing some research. Also, Queen Aminata and Tekla hossed each other in that match in the main event on Collision, which deserved the main event. That roster is loaded. There were people on that show that I haven't seen in forever because they're on ROH all the time. And it was just really great to see all those women out there. Athena, I'm trying to blank, seeing Red Velvet come out. Billy Starks was there. Like, that was really, really cool.
Thunder Rosa, I think we forget.
Thunder Rosa.
She was a centerpiece for the division.
Yes.
And still is, you could argue,
champ,
but
man. Like,
not as consistently. Yeah.
Yeah. She
was one of the most, you remember the Thunder Rosa pop was its own thing. That's how over she was.
Yeah. That injury just really, really hurt her momentum. And then we got all these other people in there. Like,
it did.
It's crazy. Cause like there's people that are going to be coming back at some point. We would assume. I saw a pic of Britt Baker posting a pic being all shredded. And I don't know if or when she's coming back. Ruby's out right now because she is having or had a baby, and she'll come back at some point. Like, that, still just a loaded roster. After that, I don't really have anything else because I don't know. Missed some yard. You missed opportunities to watch me sweat in the 113 degree heat in the backyard.
Summer 2K25. Well, we are grateful that you are spending at least a sliver of your summer with us here at GI. We hope you tune in, of course, every single Monday. So thankful you're here. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did, and we will see you next week. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.